Hi everyone, welcome to Nollywho, the Clout Africa production that focuses on the film and television industry across Africa, as well as the contributions of Africans in the diaspora to film narratives as well as television. My name is Edwin Okolo, and today I am joined by Frank Ugo. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Edwin.
So Frank is going to introduce himself to us.
Okay, hey guys. My name is Frank. I am a culture writer, very interested in Nollywood, and I'm very excited to be here with Edwin to talk about Nollywood.
Oh, okay. We are working on a short mini series that is a retrospective on film and television from and by Africans in 2020. This episode of the show will focus on streaming as a tool
Mm-hmm.
for advancing film and television on the continent. I think in February, we started to hear news of the coronavirus pandemic entering into countries in Africa. And even though we didn't really understand how severe the situation would be, we started to see very early attempts to transition into streaming and virtual platforms.
Yeah.
Netflix was a big proponent of streaming across the continent, with a strong presence in South Africa and a new franchise in Nigeria, which was launched, I think, in April or
Mm,
May
yeah.
2020. We're starting to see the fruits of that franchise in Nigeria. There was Citation, which was
Mm-hmm.
released exclusively on Netflix.
Netflix. Yeah.
It has been announced that Kemi Adetiba's follow-up to her,
King of Boys.
yes, King of Boys, is going to also be released on Netflix. Netflix has also announced that it is working closely with um, Lola Shoneyin to adapt her beloved novel, The Many Wives of Baba Shegi's Wives, as well as one of Wole Soyinka's more popular novels, as well as their commissioning of a number of original television series
Yeah. For
for Nigerian audiences. So, what do you think about Netflix's advancement on the Nigerian film and television industry?
um, it's coming at a very right time, I would say.
Okay.
Because we're just really at this point where we have we want to see more local shows that are um, made by Africans and for Africans. So like most of the Netflix shows you watch, they're just like, oh, maybe global shows tailored to maybe a particular audience, but
Mm-hmm.
some way along the line we come into like the demographic and it appeals to us, and boom,
Yeah.
we're part of like the strategy. But now this time around you're seeing um a more intentional effort to create stuff by us, and for us too. And I think it's really like a great time to be in Nollywood, really, because you just have there are a lot of stories.
Yeah.
That's the honest truth, and I feel like that's maybe something I would even want to emphasize with the people who are even creating
Mm-hmm.
or who have the power, just to ensure that you're creating new authentic stories, because it falls on you now. There's a whole giant company like Netflix that's willing to put their money there, and it's now, your turn to do the work. Ensure you're telling stories that we haven't seen, or
Yeah.
telling, like, changing the narrative really, and not sticking to the normal tropes or the normal things that have. Yeah, so I think it's very exciting timing. I'm very excited for the stories that and the creative freedom that these people have, to to work on all the good stuff really.
Okay. I am particularly excited for a lot of Nigerian films that had their debuts in cinemas and are getting a second life on Netflix. There was, of course, Living in Bondage,
Mm,
which had like a 4 month run in cinemas and then had like a second wave of popularity on Netflix. There is, oh, and there, of course, there is also Ebony Lives Oloture, which I think it premiered at the Carthage Film
Yeah,
Festival.
tennis 2019.
Yeah, and then it got a second life on YouTube. Started conversations. So it there's a lot of Nigerian films that, because of piracy, the the owners of those intellectual property refuse to put them on DVDs or
Yeah.
in CDs or the traditional, but Netflix gives them a safety blanket. It gives them a bit of money for their films,
Mm-hmm.
and then their films get to reach new audiences, which also improves the possibility of them putting out a new film in
Making more.
cinemas
Yeah.
and keeps them in the news and keeps them in focus. I do worry though that um, we are not going to make as good use of this opportunity that Netflix and streaming provides, like South Africa has done,
Mm.
because South Africa has Queen Sono, which is an international spy thriller. They have
Blood and water.
Blood and Water, which is a teen whodunit mystery drama, which of course appeals to that youth demographic, the YA demographic that is the largest consuming demographic right now. They have Kings of Joburg, which takes that crime thriller genre and adds a bit of supernatural elements to it to make things interesting. So you can see that South African filmmakers
Diversity.
are experimenting, they're doing diverse things, but so far, what we've seen from Nigerian filmmakers in Nollywood who are working with Netflix there hasn't been really any excitement around the project. Um, I don't know why that is. Do you have any?
So I'm not very. So I generally think that and you know, for most of these things, this is like personal thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, you know, there's sort of like a winning formula to, and you know, because Nollywood filmmakers have had to just work on cinema releases as their primary source of revenue.
Revenue,
There's sort of like a winning formula that works for them. Um, so if you look at the movies that are maybe top grossing, maybe, from maybe 2010s,
yeah. Yeah.
you would see like a particular,
Like
if
a
it's not a rom
rom
com,
com,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a plain as comedy. You have Wedding Party, and you have like Wedding Party 2, and then you have all the AY movies, and then you
Hmm.
have,
His Excellency,
yeah. So
Chief Daddy.
exactly. So you just have like a certain winning formula that works for them, and then you know, for the dramas like King of Boys, you know, there's more intentionality with it. So it's star studded. Literally everywhere you go, there's like a lot of people
Yeah.
that you know.
Big names.
Yeah, the names everywhere, and then you see their marketing budget. There's a lot really. So I feel like, and you know, it sort of um, um, draws back to what I had said earlier, because this is um, a whole new world, literally. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like your streaming numbers would actually affect, or could affect like your relation. But you know, this is a different opportunity for you to try out something new.
Hmm.
We're so if your film isn't rom com, if it's not a drama, if it's not romantic, it's not comedy. Yeah, yeah. So I feel like this actually avails them to a whole new. I mean, so I think outside Sylvia,
Yeah.
I haven't seen any film like Sylvia in a very long time.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't even know that Sylvia is a top grossing. I
Hmm.
think it did like a
It
decent.
did well,
Yeah,
but
but I'm
it
not
wasn't.
very sure. Yeah, so I feel like we have just limited ourselves to like, oh, this is where our storytelling, and I feel like this sort of partnership or collaboration in this case opens you to, you know, cast your nets. I mean, it's literally, well, in some type of way, it's like a safe
Hmm.
house for you to do play around with
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So I feel like that's where, you know, they need to tell more diverse stories and stuff that isn't like particularly following their formula that they have created.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Also, I think that Netflix will ultimately follow the money,
Mm,
and if we can prove to them that non-traditional films will make money, like non-rom-coms or full-out comedies will make money and provide a sustainable audience, Netflix will put money behind it. And I think that the easiest way for us to do that is for filmmakers to actually put their money mouth where their mouth is with their catalog. Put your catalog on Netflix, or put your catalog on Amazon Prime or Hulu, and let the streaming numbers do the talking.
So with that, so to be very honest, I actually get where they come from in the sense that, I don't know if shooting yourself in the foot is the right way to. So you're just trying to ensure that you're putting your best work out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like also it's an avenue for you to try out
Mm-hmm.
as much as you actually can. Putting your catalog out there is actually like
Yeah.
a good way to go about it. I don't know. I feel like we what I've heard about like the submission process. I know it's still like not as very straightforward and transparent as it should probably be.
Yeah.
So maybe that there's a
You have
hitch
individual
there.
buyers that
Yeah,
have to buy films, so there's all of that.
there's a long.
But at what in what ways can these filmmakers before Netflix gets involved with the promotion and everything? What are they doing that they could do to essentially speed up this process?
Hmm. So when you say speed up
Speed
process
up the
of
process of drumming up attention
for
and
new.
for the projects that are coming out.
So I say it a lot of times. I feel like we don't really do a lot of film marketing
Yeah.
in this side of the country. I feel like there's literally like a cycle for it. So you tell us the people who are working on your project, give us like an individual photo shoots for all of them. Next thing you drop the trailer on us. Next thing you have like you give them a particular Instagram caption, and they've tagged all of the cinemas and all of the people who have acted in the project. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Next thing you do meet and greets.
Mm-hmm.
You're inviting random people to come to cinemas. There should be more creative ways to do
Yeah.
these things. It's like a right now, you get. And I feel like another thing that actually happens is marketing budgets are very limited. And
Mm-hmm.
I know this now comes into like a bigger picture of, funding.
Yeah.
But marketing, because marketing budgets are limited, people now have to work with, oh, this is what I have, this is what I have. They pretty much decent movies. Well, outside like the normal rom com that are showing in the cinema, but nobody knows. There's Ratnik. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
saw Ratnik a, a while ago,
Yeah.
and it's not the perfect film, but it's something entirely different.
Yeah.
This is like science fiction. Well, yeah, in some type of way,
It's
yeah,
science fiction.
yeah, and
It's
it's
dystopian science
yeah,
fiction.
it's completely different from the normal narrative, but it's new.
Mm-hmm.
It's now a thing of, oh, let's see how adoption for that kind of movie would look like. But adoption can't even be better if people don't know that this movie exists. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, public relations, marketing still goes a long way. New processes, new ideas, just to ensure that, oh, your movie, don't follow like the status quo. I remember, like, so most times when I read up stuff, you find like interesting ways that Hollywood keeps.
Promoting
Ryan Reynolds did. Oh my God, what's the film
for
he's on?
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool. Like you see all of. Oh my God, when we had like the Deadpool thing in taxis in
Yeah.
Lagos. Yeah, so they're more in it. Provided it will cost a lot of money, but you just know that, oh, innovation is like amazing. So innovation, more eyes, more cinema visits. Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. So, not everybody is going the cinema route.
Hmm.
Some filmmakers are deciding that they will just ditch the film route altogether and focus entirely on independent streaming.
Mm.
We've had a number of films and filmmakers and television show directors go the filming route, and it has been predominantly independent
Mm.
for a number of reasons. For example, um, Desmond Oviagele's The Milkmaid, which has been announced as Nigeria's entry for the 2021
21.
Oscars,
Yeah.
was not released in Nigeria because the Nigerian National Film and Video Censors Board said it was too controversial because it focused on Boko Haram. And so it was never released in Nigeria. And Obiagele has had to be very creative. Him and his team have been very creative as to how to get the film out there. They've used Vimeo and streaming on Vimeo with passwords and things like that. That's how they got the film out. They've done, pop-ups to show the film to audiences.
Already, for this project, you already have to convince people to want to see it,
Yeah.
and then you have now a barrier. You have a power barrier. Sorry, you have a price barrier, and then you have even internet. So when Netflix, even like when you look at Netflix, um, there are people who can't even afford Netflix today.
Yeah.
There are people who maybe would be able to afford Netflix, but there's a lot of data that they have to actually use
Hmm.
in all of that, and that poses a barrier as well. So with independent streaming, it's already like a thing like that. I
Yeah.
remember Ebony Life tried it.
Hmm.
I don't.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they've actually, that's actually interesting because last month Ebony Life sent an email announcing that they were finally closing their streaming
Yeah,
service.
so they tried it. They did that for oh my god, Castle and Castle. The first
Yeah,
season of
yeah.
Castle and
So
Castle,
Castle and Castle was
every
supposed to be
episode was like
the
500 naira.
tie-in.
So
It
yeah,
was supposed to be the tie-in to get people to subscribe to the channel.
and it wasn't working.
Yeah, it didn't. I don't. I.
So again, and I feel like it's hard to say these things, or it's hard to have these things because you're not even sure. You're not we don't have like a lot of data out there to I feel like with Ebony Life, it wasn't really as smooth as it was expected to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they had some of this, if I'm right, some of these shows where like you had to pay for it and not like a
Yeah, some of
subscription.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of it you had to pay, and it was just like I'm paying for data, I'm paying for all of this, and then you look at it, and that's like sort of like another barrier for audiences that want
Mm-hmm.
to look at it. Do I know a possible alternative? I actually have no idea because you know different people would. There's like a lot of scene one. Funke Akindele has something for
Yeah.
Jennifer's Diaries now. I mean, at the end of the day, she still stocks some of
No,
it
that
on
that one
YouTube.
that one is actually very very successful.
So I feel like Jennifer's Diaries has a very um, which when you look at it, you're like, oh, you don't blame filmmakers to
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day because it's like because you look at Jennifer's Diaries, for example, and
Yeah.
there's still like an audience that just wants to that would
So
pay to watch
I don't
that.
even think that is the thing that it's interesting that you bring this up because one of the challenges that cinema solves is that cinema is primarily a social activity. Going to the cinema
Mm-hmm,
is as much a part of the process
mm-hmm.
as seeing the film.
Okay.
It's a place to go, it's a thing to do. And a lot of films benefit from discoverability
Yeah.
because the person is in the cinema, they have 2.5 hours to burn, and they will watch whatever is showing. They will give the benefit of doubt to whatever is showing,
Yeah.
provided it falls within the spectrum of their preferences, which is also part of the reason why we have a lot of genres, because genres mean that this is going to be a horror film. I might not know who's the director, I might not know who's the actor. I like horror films,
And I will
so
watch
I will
her.
try this one.
Yeah.
So a lot of films benefit greatly from that, you know, osmosis of
Mm.
I'm at the cinema, I have 2,000 naira to watch a film, I have 3 hours to kill, I might as well watch whatever is showing at that time slot. Uh, in some ways, Jennifer's Diary as a show has been successful for Scene One Productions as a streaming service, Scene One TV as a streaming service, because Jennifer's Diary has a social element to it. There's the character herself, Jennifer, who has transcended her show and become memeified.
Mm.
So she's a meme at this point.
Yeah.
And because the Jennifer character is a meme, people are always looking for where can I get the next Jennifer meme?
Meme.
And the only way to do that is to watch the Jennifer show
Okay.
itself. And so it's kind of like a cyclical thing. And then secondly, Jennifer's Diary as a show has essentially become part of our weekly conversations at the office. It's part of water cooler conversations. We're emotionally invested in the lives of the characters. We use it as a shorthand for expressing social events.
Hmm.
So people feel compelled to
To
keep up.
watch, yeah.
And so they will actually pay because they need to keep up because it's social currency. Uh, I don't know if the shows on Netflix have
That's
conquered that. Number one, I don't know if these directors and producers who are creating these new streaming projects have a way of ensuring that they have that social element. First of all, the social element of discoverability. How am I going to discover your show? Are you actively promoting on Twitter? Do you have a Twitter persona? Does your show have a Twitter persona? Am I getting memes from the show? Because there's this American YouTube show called Pretty Dudes Web. That's the Twitter handle. Essentially, every episode of Pretty Dudes is memified. They take all as many possible memes as they can get, and they just seed the internet with the memes and hope that, because of course the memes are tagged, that somehow when somebody searches where's this meme from, it to
they
take
would
them back
find
to the
it.
show. So that's their discoverability tactic.
Tactic.
That's their social discoverability tactic. These people who are advancing to streaming, do they have those kind of you know do they have those kind of plans?
So I think that with regards discoverability, a couple of shows are able to do that.
Hmm.
If you pay attention to web shows like Skinny Girl in Transit and the Men's Club, they have been able to do that in a way that defy like it goes past just using hashtags.
Hmm.
Even most times you see like the pages for interacting with and again this all sort of boils down to innovation,
Hmm.
because I feel like now no shade to like the African Magic guys, because yeah, like once they do shows, all I just see is AM something something
Yeah.
something something. I'm really like there's really all I like, so
It's a
that's
social
all. That's just
discoverability.
it. At the end of the day, I'm like, okay, if I click on AM whatever, I really don't know what AM whatever is.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, like shows like Danny's Skinny Girl and then Red TV's Men's Club, you have like like some level or some.
And it feels very it feels quite sequestered to certain shows on those
Mm,
networks,
mm-hmm.
because Phases did not
Oh
gain the
God,
same
no,
level of
no,
social
no,
discoverability. Inspector K did not gain the same level of social discoverability
at all.
um, that these other shows
Yeah.
gained. And so it's not that there is a plan. It feels like these shows were relevant in a way, that which is why they are different from Jennifer, because Jennifer, you can see that it's deliberate. The
Yeah,
social
it's
discoverability is
actually very,
deliberate.
so like half of the time, like even when you go on like the social page for Jennifer, I recently found myself there like maybe 2 or 3 days ago. I started watching like every other person the first season. I lost, I think they're on season 20 something
Yeah.
now. I got lost maybe 6 7 ish. But every now and then I go back. Every Thursday they do like a throwback clip.
Mm-hmm.
In short, I don't even know what's happening on the show now, but I go just to their Instagram page just to look at the,
Show the
yeah,
throwback.
just see what it looks like. I watch some of the cuts that they have. I have an idea of what's happening. Jennifer is getting married to Shege, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's happening really.
Yeah.
So like it still boils down to innovation. It shouldn't be something that's an after plan
Yes.
for your, because I
It
feel
should
like
be
that's what,
integrated
yeah, it
into
should
the
be integrated
process.
into. A good example of this was with Lionheart.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that happened during Lionheart when Lionheart was being shot that I felt someone was taking us through the scenes or the locations
Yeah.
in Lionheart, and in some type of way I felt very connected to it because part of it was shot in Enugu, and I believe Enugu is one of like my favorite cities in Nigeria. So
Mm-hmm.
like when the person, I just kept seeing stuff that was happening, and I'm like, oh, yes, this person has joined the project, and it should be like a lot more than that. I mean, that may have worked for that time, but
Mm-hmm.
audiences are evolving. People's
Yeah.
attention span is like, yeah,
Reducing.
so you need to find ways to carry us along with it. I also wanted to so why you were talking a while ago, I'm like, okay, you know what, do you think that the fact that Netflix drops everything at once could be like a reason why, discoverability for like platforms like Sin One could be like a lot better because like they do like a weekly thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then it dawned on me that they even have like a different approach to like content. They have like
Yeah.
memes, like random, like half of the time I'm looking at like a meme, even like the Netflix Nigeria
Mm-hmm.
page. I mean, in as much as we still have like our beef with them, but they
Yeah.
still do like one of those, like so they
They
put
do.
up
They do a
a
good
good
job of
job of
social
yeah. So at the
discoverability.
end of the day, it's are you following the trend or are you just sticking with something that has worked for XXXXXX people? And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So to just round this out, what are your projections for streaming in Nigeria in 2021,
Hmm.
as opposed to like against cinema?
I feel like people, first and foremost, literally COVID is still in town, so there would still be like a lot of reluctance from people. I went to see a particular film that is, yeah, I went to a particular film a while ago, and we were literally just five in the cinema. Yeah. And I went in the evening, which would normally be like a peak time
Yeah.
for people who are just getting off work and all of that. But yeah. So there would still be like a little bit of reluctance for people to go to the movies, which is where streaming comes in. So I see, and it's a comfortable act.
Mm.
You're more relaxed.
Yeah.
You can go back to something if you miss out on whatever
Mm-hmm.
it's as opposed to so I see like more people subscribing to streaming platforms, um but I also feel like it's dependent on I'll give you a good example is HBO Max.
Yeah.
Recently, I think it was HBO Max that announced that all of the
Yeah.
yeah,
2021.
they're going to
The
screen, so you can
Warner
see
Brothers films.
yeah, there's an intentionality now. I mean, first it could be like an acquisition method for or get people to sign up to
Mm-hmm.
HBO, but it's also like a comfortable thing because if they knew that people wouldn't sign up to HBO Max, they
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have actually
Yeah.
put
They
yeah.
wouldn't have put
So
their money
people
there.
are more comfortable with and there's a vaccine, but there would still be like a little drawback to
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I feel like it's going to be like every year like there would still be like a boom in streaming. It would now be a thing of what content are you giving us on these platforms? Are you
Mm.
giving us something that's worth our time and what like our spend at the end of the day? Really, yeah.
Yeah. That's an important question to end on. Thank you so much, Frank, for breaking this down with
Thanks, Edwin.
us. And you guys should like, subscribe, share with your friends. This was Nollywho, a Clout Africa production. The focus is on the film and television industry in Africa, as well as the work of Africans in the diaspora to advance narratives in film and television about the continent and about themselves. See you next episode.
Bye, guys.
Clout. Reach out.